Hello, my name is NAGATA. I am a postdoc fellow at the iCeMS. This iCeMS Crosstalk presents two iCeMS scientists each time, one as the interviewee, the other as the interviewer. Today's researcher is Dr. Shinya Yamanaka, the professor of the iCeMS and also the director of Center for iPS Cell Research and Application. Nice to meet you, Dr. Yamanaka.
Nice to meet you.
You had started your career as a medical doctor and orthopedist, so you know a lot about human body. And then you turned your way to the clinic, to the basic research. And I am now working on the proteins called ABC proteins, and I usually use cultured cells in experiments. So I can analyze what is happening inside a cell, in the cell level, but I can't imagine what is happening in the tissues or whole body levels. And ABC proteins are associated with various diseases such as cystic fibrosis or atherosclerosis. So I think I should have more, I should have the point of view to understand whole body. So could you tell me how the experience as a medical doctor influence your view or motivation for research?
Well, my career as an orthopedic surgeon has a great impact on my career as a scientist. First of all, I always think about patients, so I want to be helpful for patients. So my research goal tend to be very practical. I want to be of a great help for patients. So that is one impact of my old career. The other thing is that because I used to be a surgeon, I tend to think things very simply. Many, I think scientists tend to think things very in a complicated manner. But I think I tend to see various things from a very simple point of view. And in this particular case, I mean, in the generation of iPS cells, that simplicity, simple way of thinking worked very well.
I see. And from 1993 to 1996, you were working at the Gladstone Institute in the United States. And after you came back to Japan, I've heard that you had been really severely depressed, as we call it, post-America depression. You couldn't wake up in the morning, and you even thought of quitting the research and going back to the clinical practice. So how did you recover from that tough situation?
Well, I had a hard time when I was suffering from PDA, but I was lucky enough to be recruited as a principal investigator at NAGATA Institute of Science and Technology in 1999. So that was a great change to me. Before that point, I was working by myself. I didn't have any students or any postdocs.
So no discussions?
No discussions.
I think discussion is one of the most interesting in research.
Yes.
But to build hypotheses is very interesting. But it sometimes will be too drainful. But it doesn't matter.
If you have to do your research by yourself, you can be selfish, or you have to evaluate by yourself. But if you have some other, even students or some other scientists whom you can discuss with, well, you can evaluate with each other, and I think that is very important. Speaking of PhD, have you ever studied abroad, or do you have a plan to spend some time after your postdoc here?
I've never been abroad to study, but yes, I sometimes would like to go abroad. But yes, but I'm afraid if I can come back to Japan with some position. So I'm hesitating now.
I see.
But you were happy in the United States.
Well, I was very happy, but you know, when I was a student or when I was a postdoc, there are many things which we can only do in the States or in UK, not in Japan. But now that science in Japan, the standard of Japanese science has become much higher, almost comparable to those in the States or in UK. From that point of view, from that reason, you don't have to go abroad. You can stay in Japan. But nevertheless, I strongly recommend many young scientists to spend at least a year or two in foreign countries. You can only learn those cultural differences if you spend a few years in abroad. So I very recommend.
Yes. And you also said that you learned how to present the method of presentation in the United States.
Yes. It's very important for scientists to be successful. Doing good experiments means probably 50%. The remaining 50% is how you present your data, your experience. So you really have to learn how you present your own data. That makes a huge difference. That makes a huge difference in publishing your data and also in finding your new position. So that is very important.
In research, things not always go as planned. So we may experience hard days without any data for a long time, maybe for years. So I think it's very difficult to decide whether to continue working on project or when to quit, when to give it up. And while you were trying to generate iPS cells, did you ever did you ever think of giving it up before you identified 24 candidate genes?
Making iPS cells has been my long-term goal. So I never thought of quitting that long-term goal. But to achieve that long-term goal, there are many short-term goals. Right? It's a very difficult things to achieve. So you cannot do in a day. You have to do multiple steps. It's like a long way. Okay. You have to have a clear view. Yes. Yeah. Actually, that is one of my favorite sentence or how to say word from my old boss. It's VW. V stands for vision, and W stands for hard work.
Hard works.
Yeah. So you have, in order to succeed, you have to keep VW in mind. You have to have clear vision, and you have to work very hard.
Clear vision and work hard.
Yeah. So we Japanese tend to work very hard, but at the same time we tend to forget clear vision. So sometimes you end up doing many experiments without having clear purposes.
So how did you get your clear vision? When and how?
Well, first of all, you have to realize that you have to have clear vision. So you always ask yourself, what is my vision? What is my long-term vision? So you keep asking that question. And the answer should be always the same. if you have the clear vision. The answer is always the same. But I tend to ask my students what is their long-term goal or long-term vision, and they tend to answer something different every day. So that means they don't have a clear vision. So I think the first step is to ask yourself, what's your vision? And if you can answer the same vision every day, I think you are okay.
When do you feel happy in your research activities?
So when I was a postdoc, when I was doing science by myself, I got very happy when I found something new or something unexpected. But now that I have many young students and young fellows, I feel more and more happy when those students or fellows find something really unexpected from their own ideas. So to me, watching those young scientists who are very immature when they came to my laboratory, growing up and to become a good scientist and to produce exciting data from their own idea, that is the greatest moment to me.
I see. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now that will be all for the first iCeMS Crosstalk. Thank you very much.